Welcome back to another Grow a Garden adventure in Roblox. This is part 6, and today we're back in our garden to see how much we can grow, collect, and earn. We start near the garden area, and there's already plenty happening around us. I head over to check the plants and see what is ready to harvest. There are several crops growing around the garden, and some of them have become surprisingly large. I move toward the bamboo and check its value. This one has grown to an impressive size, so I harvest it and add the reward to our progress. After collecting the bamboo, I look around the garden and check the other plants. There are berries, fruits, and different crops growing in several areas, so there's plenty to keep an eye on. I continue moving through the garden and notice just how different everything looks compared with the beginning. Some of the plants have grown into huge structures, taking up a massive amount of space. Then I notice one of the most impressive plants in the garden. It has grown into a giant golden tree with enormous yellow fruits hanging from the branches. I move closer to take a better look because this thing is absolutely massive. The golden fruits are spread all around the tree, and the whole plant looks like something from another world. I move around it and check the different parts of the garden from above. From this view, we can see just how much our garden has expanded. There are large trees, climbing plants, vegetables, and other crops growing everywhere. I continue exploring and checking the plants while the garden keeps producing more resources. Then I head back toward another section and look at what is ready to collect. The garden is constantly changing, and that's one of my favorite things about Grow a Garden. You can leave your crops growing, come back later, and suddenly discover that they have become enormous. I keep moving around and collecting what I can. Our money is changing as we harvest different crops, and every collection helps us build up more resources for the next upgrades. I check another plant and then move toward the center of the garden. There are still several crops growing, so I decide not to sell everything immediately. I want to see what else can grow before making the next big move. The golden tree is still standing above everything else, and it really shows how far this garden has come. I continue walking around the different plots and checking the plants. There's a lot more to do, but for now I'm focused on growing the garden even further and getting the most valuable crops possible. So I'm going to keep harvesting, keep planting, and see what surprises the next few minutes bring. The garden is getting bigger, the crops are getting crazier, and this adventure is only getting started. The garden is getting bigger, and there's even more to check now. I continue moving around the farm and notice several huge plants that have grown far beyond their original size. I head toward one of the giant crops and take a closer look. Some of the fruits are enormous, and they're taking up almost the entire garden plot. I start collecting the ready crops one by one. Every harvest gives us more money, and the balance keeps changing as I collect more valuable plants. Then I move toward another part of the garden. There are several different crops growing here, and some of them are still developing. I decide to leave them for a little longer and focus on the plants that are already ready to harvest. I walk around the giant golden plant again. It has grown into something absolutely massive, with huge yellow fruits hanging from every side. I climb around the plant and check the different fruits from above. From this angle, the size of the crop is even more impressive. After checking it, I return to the ground and continue exploring the garden. There are more plots around the area, so I move toward them and see what has changed. Some plants have grown much larger since the beginning of the video, while others are still waiting to mature. I collect another group of crops and watch the money increase again. Then I move toward the center of the garden. The whole farm is starting to look packed with plants. Trees, fruits, vegetables, and giant crops are growing everywhere, leaving less and less empty space. I continue walking through the plots and check another large plant. This one has several fruits ready to collect, so I harvest them and keep moving. Then something changes. The sky gets darker, and the garden enters nighttime. The atmosphere suddenly looks completely different. The giant plants are still visible, but now everything is surrounded by darkness. I continue moving through the garden and check the crops under the night sky. Even at night, the plants keep growing, so I can still collect resources and continue building up the garden. I move toward another section and notice more crops waiting to be harvested. I collect them and keep exploring. After spending some time in the darker area, the garden becomes bright again. I return to the giant golden plant and take another look at it. It has become so large that some of the fruits are almost bigger than my character. I move around the tree and collect several of the biggest fruits. The money continues increasing, and our garden is becoming more valuable with every harvest. I check the surrounding plots one more time and make sure I'm not leaving any ready crops behind. There are still plenty of plants growing, so this garden definitely isn't finished yet. I want to keep expanding the farm, grow even bigger crops, and eventually fill every available plot with valuable plants. For now, I'm going to keep harvesting everything that's ready and let the rest continue growing. The garden is getting crazier with every minute, and I have a feeling the next harvest could be even bigger. The garden is getting more impressive with every minute, and now I'm checking some of the biggest plants we've grown so far. I start by climbing onto the enormous golden plant in the garden. It's absolutely massive, with huge yellow fruits covering the branches and stretching across the plot. I move around the plant and check what is ready to harvest. There are several fruits growing at different spots, so I collect the ready ones and watch our money increase. After harvesting, I take a look at the garden from above. You can really see how much the farm has expanded. There are empty plots, smaller crops, and giant plants all growing together. Then I briefly check the fence customization menu. There are several designs available, but I decide to keep the current setup and return to the garden. The night cycle is starting, so the entire farm becomes darker. Even with less light, the giant plants are still easy to see, especially the huge golden crops. I continue moving around the garden and check another large plant. An apple is ready to harvest, and I collect it. The reward adds more money to our balance, which is now growing much faster than before. I keep walking through the plots and check the plants that are still growing. Some crops are small, while others have become enormous. The difference is incredible. Then I notice another player's garden nearby. I take a quick look around before heading back toward my own plot. I pass the expansion area, where another plot can be unlocked for 40,000 coins. That would give us more space, but for now I'm focused on making the current garden more valuable. I return to the giant golden plants and take another look. Some fruits are ready, so I start harvesting them one by one. The rewards keep adding up, and our balance is now over 13,000. I move toward another giant crop and find a blueberry ready to collect. I harvest it and continue around the garden. There are still plenty of plants growing, so I decide not to sell everything yet. I want to give the garden more time to produce even bigger crops. The giant golden plant is still the main attraction. It has grown so large that my character can barely reach some of the fruits without climbing around the branches. I keep checking the different plots and collecting whatever is ready. At this point, the garden is starting to look completely packed with giant crops. We've made a lot of progress, but there's still room to expand. I'm going to keep growing these plants, collect the most valuable harvests, and save up for the next upgrades. The bigger the garden gets, the more valuable every harvest becomes. And I have a feeling the next crop could be even bigger than anything we've collected so far. We're coming to the final part of today's Grow a Garden adventure, and the garden has changed a lot since we started. I head back through the farm and check the plants one more time. Several crops are ready, so I start harvesting them and collecting the rewards. The giant golden plant is still the main attraction. Its huge fruits are covering the branches, and some of them are almost bigger than my character. I collect another group of fruits and watch the money increase. Then I move through the other plots and check for anything I might have missed. There are smaller crops growing between the giant plants, so I collect the ones that are ready and leave the rest to keep growing. The garden is now packed with trees, fruits, vegetables, and massive plants. There's barely any empty space left. I take another look around the farm, and it's crazy to see how much everything has grown. I continue harvesting a few more crops and add the rewards to my collection. Then I check the biggest plants again. Some are still growing, so I leave them alone and let them develop. I collect a few more fruits and watch the total increase again. Every harvest makes the garden feel more rewarding and gives us another reason to keep growing. The golden plant is still standing above almost everything else, and it has become one of the most impressive parts of the garden. I could keep planting and harvesting for hours, but this is where we're going to finish today's adventure. The garden will keep growing after we leave. When we come back, some smaller plants could become huge crops and give us even more rewards. So I'm leaving the garden with plenty of plants still growing and a lot of potential for the next episode. If you enjoyed this Grow a Garden adventure, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more Roblox gameplay. Thanks for watching part 6, and I'll see you in the next garden adventure.